Occasionally during my live streams, people will bring up Miami because I'm in Florida and everyone knows Miami, so they always want to know, have I been there? Do I like Miami? And I made it very clear that I have a very palpable disdain for that city, if you can even call it a city. I call it a scam. I almost just don't even believe in Miami. It's kind of like the fucking Tooth Fairy to me. If the Tooth Fairy was a huge asshole whose only purpose was to bite your nipples off while you were asleep, I really do hate Miami. So let's get really into the meat and semen of why I hate Miami. I've only been one time. It was my junior year of college, and my friends and I went for spring break. We were going to celebrate it there, just go fucking wild. Yeah, Miami Beach party. Oh, tits all over the place. Look at all that ass, and look at all these beers and alcohols. And that was the plan. But we severely underestimated just how expensive everything in Miami is. We knew it was going to be a bit pricier, but not even Jesus Christ himself could have convinced us it'd be as expensive as it turned out to be. There was only one thing in all of Miami we could afford, and that was the hotel, because we all pooled our money together to be able to afford that. Past that, we were left to die. The people in Miami wouldn't piss in your mouth if you were dying of thirst unless you had $1,000 to pay them for it. The prices there are out fucking rageous. We couldn't be left alone. We couldn't buy anything alone. We had to stay in a group and start budgeting our money. Hey man, look, I just ran out of soap and I need to get some at Walgreens. Can you spot me $50 so I can at least get halfway there and I'll cover the other 50? Because you can't afford anything. We couldn't buy a pack of almonds on our own without coming together as a group and budgeting that purchase. It's fucking insane how expensive everything there is. Let's go ahead and start from day one, because it hit us immediately when we got there. We planned the trip for 4 days. We stayed all 4 days, but on the first day, we knew we were in for a rude awakening. So day one, we were already, ready to rock and roll, ready for partying. Hey, it's spring break. It's time to go nuts to butts. Let's fucking hit it and shit it. So we got a taxi, which was extremely expensive, got stuck in Miami traffic for an hour, and then made it to this area where all the bars are. I can't even remember what it's called, but there's a bar there that's like the Frankliner, or maybe like the Frankie Doolittle or something. I don't remember, but it's a big bar there, and we paid $20 to get in, which is huge for us because in Tampa, it's free entry if you're over 21, so paying $20 just to get in, that was a real slap to the urethra, but we did it anyway because spring break, baby, woo! Shirt over your head and everything, about ready to go wild. And we made the mistake of ordering shots right upon getting there. Shots of Fireball, because in Tampa, a shot of Fireball is $3, and I'll never forget what it is in Miami at the Frankie Muniz Hotel or whatever. $18. $18 for a shot of Fireball. Fireball is the shittiest alcohol you can get in a shot, and it was $18 there. It was insulting. So after taking that shot, needless to say, it was basically like swallowing all of our money at the same time. We were already running out of money just from our first bar visit and first round of drinks. If I wanted to take that shot glass and dunk it into their pool, I'd probably have to pay $10 for their chlorinated pool water with pee all in it. It's unreal, the prices there. But it wasn't all lost upon going to that bar, because there was a homeless man, probably not actually homeless, but he dressed like a homeless man, and he was doing magic tricks, and we got a little private magic show from him. And it was all hat magic, so he'd be doing cool shit with his hat. And his grand finale was he pulled out a baggie of cocaine from his hat. It was really fucking cool, and we all gave him $5 because he fucking earned it like a motherfucker. That man should be going on Penn and Teller's Fool Us, or maybe America's Got Talent. It was a great routine, and he's even got a little something to get the crowd energized, just start throwing coke out. I could see him being a big magician someday. Hopefully he's doing well. We called it a night right after that, because it certainly wasn't getting better than that magic show, and it certainly wasn't getting cheaper. So we went back to the hotel, and we started just drinking all of the alcohol we brought. That was a lot of fun, just 5 guys in the hotel room getting absolutely shit-faced because they couldn't afford to elsewhere. And I got extremely drunk, probably the drunkest I've ever been, and I blacked out. And then the next day, we all planned to go to the beach, but I was so incredibly fucked up that I needed to keep having the taxi driver pull over so I could puke. We finally got to the beach, and I still had to keep puking, but apparently all of the areas on the beach don't really have bathrooms. Miami doesn't believe in bathrooms, so I went to a Walgreens. They don't have a bathroom. I went to the next door business that I don't remember. They didn't have a bathroom. I went to the other business next door, which was probably like a cocaine supplier. I don't really know what it was, but it was a dilapidated little business. They didn't have a bathroom, so I ended up just puking on the road. I just figured, why not? I had nowhere else to go, and I'm sure it's pretty commonplace in Miami. I'm sure I'm about the 5th guy that morning to puke on that road. And I was feeling like shit for the rest of the entire day. The beach was underwhelming. It was just like every other beach in Florida. There was nothing super special about it except for some trivia like Dexter season 2 was filmed, or the Dexter intro was filmed on that beach. Like, who gives a fuck? It was so boring. At least right up until a Category 5 hurricane hit Miami that day. It wasn't an actual hurricane, but there was a goddamn monsoon that blew through and completely annihilated us. Apparently there was like a fucking news warning that went out, like, this is going to be the biggest storm we've had in 10 years. And we weren't listening to the news or anything, so we just went to the beach. There wasn't a whole lot of people there, but I can see why now. And it was just this incredibly disastrous storm that hit, with intense wind that was nearly knocking me over and my friends, and this hardest rain ever. It was like we were getting hit by baseballs. It was so miserable. Walked away bruised and bloody, but undeterred. Our spirits were still as high as they could be, you know, because come that night we were ready to try again. Bars were out of the question because we couldn't afford the drinks, so we thought, how about clubs? So we went to a club. I don't remember the name of it. It might have been Platinum or something to that degree. $300 to get into that club. That's excluding drinks. That's not included. $300 just to go in there. Unbelievable. Needless to say, we all didn't have $300 a person to pay to get into this shit-ass club on the side of the fucking road. So we didn't go to that club. I don't know why it was $300. Maybe Jay-Z, Post Malone, Lil Wayne, and Johnny Cash was revived and they were all playing that night. That might justify $300 to go in there. But we didn't do it, so that was another bust. And then we decided, how about a strip club? Miami's famous for their strip clubs, and we thought maybe King of Diamonds would be fun. But this time we wisened up before paying for the extremely expensive ride to the King of Diamonds or anywhere in Miami. We decided to look up how much it is at King of Diamonds. Way too expensive. In a nutshell, way too expensive. Strippers there probably wouldn't even look at you if you were throwing dollars at them. You'd have to be showering hundreds to even get them to look in your direction. So we didn't go to King of Diamonds or any other strip club either. That was day 2. Day 3, we gave up. Day 3, we took a day to just recoup. We hung out in the hotel. We walked around Miami just at like little mom and pop stores, I enjoyed that. That was kind of fun. We saw a little bit of the city. We went to some stores, couldn't afford anything there because you can't afford anything in Miami. That's the main lesson to take away from the experience. But we went to some little diners and stuff and tried a bunch of different foods that I'd never heard of before, which was kind of nice. But that was day 3. Spring break's really kicking in nice. Day 4, we tried one more time. We went to different bars. The prices were a little bit better than at the Frankie show, the Frankie Way, whatever that bar is. The prices were a little bit better. So we all chipped in and bought a pitcher, which was just kind of the most pathetic drinking experience I've ever had because we were all just defeated. Like, you know what, guys? How much money do we have left? 15 quarters? All right, let's just see if we can haggle a pitcher of beer off of this bar here. And miraculously we did get a pitcher. And we all just kind of drank away the spring break because it was bad. I would have had more fun spending spring break in a sensory deprivation tank than in Miami. It was an absolutely miserable experience. The worst spring break I've ever had, and definitely the worst spring break I think a college kid could have. We lost pretty much all of the money we brought with us and had nothing to show for it. But it was kind of a good-looking city. It was kind of pretty, and walking around trying a bunch of different foods was kind of fun. I would never recommend anyone ever go to Miami because you just can't afford to. Unless you're taking out a mortgage, taking out some loans or something to be able to afford anything at all there, you're just not going to be able to have any fun. There's also a huge drug problem there, from what I could tell. I don't really keep up with the Miami news or anything. But walking the beach and shit, there are so many people asking you if you want to buy drugs, which was really uncomfortable. But overall, hated Miami. I would never recommend you spend spring break in Miami. Anywhere else. Literally spring break anywhere else. Go to fucking Antarctica, you'll have more fun. I don't really care where you go, but you will not have fun in Miami. That's the gist of it. That's it. See ya. For too long I've buried my head in the sand, plugging my ears, pretending nothing's wrong. But it's time to finally rise and hit you with the cock meat surprise. It's a subject a lot of people have asked me to weigh in on, and I just haven't really bothered until now. Jacksepticeye recently made a video talking about it, and it's something that I feel I should also talk about as well since it's so highly requested. It has to deal with a problem that YouTube's been facing for about a year now, and I expected it to be resolved by now, but it's showing no signs of improving or getting better, so might as well address it since a lot of people have also noticed it. And it has to deal with the comment section. The YouTube comment section is inflicted with the scarlet rot. It is just being fucking poisoned by bots and spammers. When you think of hopeless misery, you probably immediately picture Twitter. But then right above that, you have the YouTube comment section. For a really long time, it's had a very negative reputation, and for good reason. YouTube comment section is where basic reasoning goes to die, for the most part. And depending on where you end up on YouTube, you can find some of the most outrageous shit imaginable with hundreds of updates supporting it, and then like a full 500 reply thread on it. I remember a long time ago, it must have been like almost 2 years ago now, I was watching a flat earth rap video, and the top comment was someone talking about how they had a nightmare that an octopus inked them, and it somehow like helped them achieve enlightenment, like this blissful nirvana, and they were able to see like interdimensional celebrity demons or something, and they went on with this like crazy fanfic, and it had tons of updates, and then all of the replies were like, oh my god, I had the same dream, we're somehow connected, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? I'm getting carried away. Point is, the YouTube comment section has always, for like the entire history of YouTube, been a weird and wacky wasteland. However, it has never been as bad as it currently is, because now it is completely infested with bots and spammers, and I'm sure you've seen them. If you leave a comment on any YouTube video, including this one, I guarantee it, if you leave any comment, all of the replies, and you'll get somewhere between like 2 and 10 replies, and all of them are bots saying the same shit in different ways. The big ones are, this guy's content is garbage, I'm making straight bangers on my channel, click here. And sometimes the bots are sophisticated enough to somehow slip a link past the link block. So they'll sometimes just drop a link to something, whether it's a YouTube video or a website, be like, this video is super sucky, this is a stinker-rooney on the highest level, look at this link, this video is amazing, or I just found this guy's chat logs on this website, click here to look at it, I've been crying all day after reading it. And if you make the mistake of clicking on any of these channels or clicking these links, you'll find that on the channels there's no videos. So I imagine it's maybe to grab your IP or something fucking weird, I don't know, but most of the time there's not even a single video there. And if you make the mistake of clicking a link, you're absolutely going right to a fucking phishing scam. And if it's a link to a YouTube video, you're absolutely going to a really fucking sketchy YouTube video with 009 soundscape blasting in some kind of Windows Movie Maker tutorial. Like, it's the weirdest shit. It's like the bots are somehow stuck in 2009, and yet they are still spamming the comment section on every single comment. They're replying to all of them, and almost immediately too, which is why a lot of people don't comment anymore, because you can't really have a discussion since it's taken up with the bots. No sane person wants to leave a comment on a YouTube video and get 50 notifications just having their fucking phone blow up, vibrating like it's a perpetual Amber Alert, all with notifications that McButtmaster42 has replied to your comment 10 times saying the same shit like, hey, I'm making heaters over here, stop by. So obviously most people don't want to comment anymore because of this. So it ruins whatever discussion may have taken place. Contrary to popular belief, I, and many others, do at least peruse the comments from time to time, especially on things like the Moist Meter, because I like to hear what other people are saying about the same movie or same game that I experienced, because I like it. I like to engage in that kind of discussion, which is why I like streaming on Twitch so much, because I get to real time go back and forth with actual human beings. But on YouTube, humanity is extinct in the comment section, overrun by the machines. It's full-blown Skynet. If Skynet was run by actual fucking imbeciles. It's straight up dog shit. It's blatantly obvious bots. And when it's not just the same copy and pasted shit, what they're doing is they'll have like a picture of some girl's fat fucking titties, like some big honking milkers, and it'll say like, tap here for sex with me, and then they'll copy and paste whatever the top comment is that looks like it was made by someone with a pulse. So for example, on one of my Elden Ring videos, if the top comment was, wow, Charlie might be the most talented gamer of all time, he truly has achieved Turbo Super Gamer Barbarian status, then the tap sex for me, tap me for sex, fucking tap here for sex with me, those channels, with like big ass out, like goat seeing themselves in the profile picture, what they'll do is they'll copy and paste that comment as their own so that way it doesn't look like they're a bot, hoping that someone will read that comment, think it was a real person that made it, and then click on their channel and get scammed. Because you're not having sex with that person. It's just a bot, but it's pretty smart in that it's copy and pasting a comment from a real person and trying to make it like their own. So it's such a fucking war zone of garbage in the comment section, all fought by non-humans, just actual robots. So it is ruining the comment section. It genuinely is, and it has been for like a full year now. And it's not just like the sexual scams like MILFs are looking for you, click here to watch me spread my pussy and say your name. More than just that, even aside from that, there's one that is bigger, a much more prevalent comment ruining trend. And it comes from verified channels, actual YouTube channels, real fucking verified checkmark channels, and they're all leaving the same copy and pasted note on every single channel. And I'm sure you've seen it, and you will see it under this one, and it goes something like this. We can all agree that this YouTuber never disappoints us with their content. And it usually has like a lot of, thumbs up, the updates off the charts, because it seems like a positive statement, and it's coming from a verified channel, so people that are human beings are most likely just clicking the up dude on that, and they'll say like, oh yeah, that was sweet, agreed, super sweet, this YouTuber's amazing. But what it is that verified channel is just pasting that on every single channel they can find. It is, again, a bot. They're not manually doing it. I am certain that they're using a bot or some kind of script to paste that on every channel that they can find that has like any following whatsoever, in the hopes that when people see that, they're like, oh, this verified YouTuber is also a fan of my favorite YouTuber. Let me check out their content. They're being really supportive. Let's see what they're about. So they're hoping they'll leech a couple of people from the comment section by pretending like they care about what they watched. Even though they didn't watch it, they're not being supportive. It's just more copy and paste. It's all so similar, but they do change it up occasionally. For example, this verified YouTuber has left this exact comment on my videos for the last couple months. I tell ya, he must really love the consistency and quality of my content. And I love the consistency and quality of his comments too. Very insightful. He's very much into it, I can tell. So like I said, it's a ton of variations, but they're all saying the same shit, and it's copy and pasted everywhere on the platform. We can all agree legendary creators like this make our days. We can all come to an agreement here that fucking epic YouTubers like this make our dicks rock fucking hard, baby. Make sure to click my channel. I'm verified. Check it out. Don't forget. It's disgusting. It's shameless. And I can't imagine it even works, because when you go to their channels, and I have made the mistake of checking it out, they only get like maybe 10 views on the videos. Like, I don't want to give any of the channels away here because they're looking for attention, obviously. But one of them had like 500,000 subs, and all of their videos had less than 200 views. So either this YouTuber fell off harder than Simba's dad in The Lion King, or it's a bot. Fake. And their subscribers are not humans. They just paid for it, and they're all bots. Not a legitimate account. Now, there's really nothing to do as the YouTuber here to combat this phenomenon happening in the comment section. You can set like blocks on certain phrases, words, links, and all that, but they somehow always find a way to get around it. Just like Jacksepticeye mentioned, they'll change certain phrases, they'll change a couple of things, and somehow it just slips on by again. There's just no way to really stop it. It'd have to come from YouTube's end to verify whether or not the account posted in the comment is a legitimate account or a bot. And I don't have like the real solution here. I don't have the answers. I just wanted to talk about the problem. There is no solution at the moment, but I would love if the comment section could actually be going back to human beings discussing things and human beings embarrassing themselves instead of robots doing it and trying to scam each other. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this since Jacksepticeye brought it up, and a lot of people have noticed it in my comment section as well and have been asking me about it to do something. There's not a whole lot I can do. This would have to come from YouTube's end as a platform-wide change in how they identify what are and are not bots. That's like the only way to stop it, and I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. I don't even know how they do it if they tried, but I just wanted to at least bring it to your attention and let you all know that yes, I see what's going on too, and I'm also not happy about it. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. What's up everybody, it's Critical. Wanted to tell another story tonight. A couple years ago, I used to mention from time to time that the hardest class I ever took in my academic career was a ceramics class in my sophomore year of college. And back then, a lot of people used to ask me to elaborate on it, and I just kind of figured now was the optimal time to do so, 2 or 3 years later when the interest has really peaked in the ceramics story. I see people all the time buzzing in the comments. Do you guys remember 3 years ago in that video that has 4 views on it in total, when he mentioned ceramics being such a hard course? I just need to know how it could be so fucking difficult. So, that coupled with the fact that ceramics in general has been a really trendy topic in the world recently, because I believe there's only one human being left that's still practicing the art of ceramics, so I figured it's time to strike while the iron's hot and get in on this ceramics action. So my roommate and I, we're going to go ahead and call him G, because that's actually what he prefers to be called in real life, because he doesn't like his real name, so he wants people to call him G. I know it's some Men in Black type shit, but I respect it and I think it's pretty damn cool. G and I took a ceramics course. It was 4 credits. We both really needed the credits, and we thought it would be an easy A and it would be an enjoyable experience. But it turned out it was absolutely miserable. I would rather have my ass cheeks crushed by a hydraulic press than go through that class again. The nightmare really began on the first day of class. We immediately knew we had made a massive mistake taking this course. The professor rolls in by damn near kicking down the door because he was carrying a plate of his favorite ceramic pieces that he himself made over the years, and he was just extremely excited to show us what real ceramics looked like, so he made this fucking extreme entrance that looked like a cereal commercial from the early 90s. He comes stumbling in like he's trying to balance on a pair of invisible roller skates. He had a very difficult time walking a straight line for whatever reason, and he also created thunderously loud footsteps everywhere he went. I swear he just slapped his feet on the ground as hard as he could. You could hear him coming from a mile away. If you had a drink on the table, it would be like that scene in Jurassic Park if the fucking ceramics professor was on his way. It'd just start jiggling and shit, and you'd know he was on his way. It was just very unnecessary and obnoxious. So he rolls in, he's sporting a pair of jean shorts, a yellow polo, and an apron, and this was his standard uniform. You would not find him in anything but this attire. If you found him in any other clothes, you would basically found the Mewtwo in Pokemon Go. That shit just was not going to happen. Sometimes the color of the polo would vary, but he would always be wearing jean shorts and an apron. He had really blonde hair and gray eyebrows and a white mustache. It was a very strange clash of colors, but his mustache was the most interesting piece to me because it wasn't just the normal mustache. He wanted it to be the Hulk Hogan mustache, but his genetics, his facial hair just wouldn't allow him to have it. But it didn't matter. He may not have had the look of Hulk Hogan, but he certainly embodied the spirit, because Hulkmania ran wild in that fucking ceramics class. Shit was just brutal. He surprise suplexed every single student in that class. He let us know right away that it was going to be the hardest course of the semester, and he was not wrong. We would have a quiz every week and a test every 2 weeks on the history of ceramics. Obviously, there's no textbook on the subject because no one gives a shit about the history of ceramics except for him. So what he did is, over the course of a few years, he made hundreds of videos on the history of ceramics and put them on Vimeo, and we would have to watch them in order to pass the quizzes and the tests, and each video ranged from 3 to 4 hours, and I swear to you, he made up every sentence. Each video was just a jumbled, filthy mess of ass grease. It sounded like a badly written Magic Treehouse book. It was just so fucking abysmal. He would say things like, "Oh yes, of the Aztecian tribe, Chief Barbed Scrotum was boinking his wife while making the world's first teacup. When he finished, he exclaimed, 'Teacup, made have I,' in quotations, as if I'm supposed to believe that my fucking ceramics professor was there, watching Chief Penis Hair plow his wife and make this ceramics piece. But he tried to play it off as fact. He would even cite sources. My ass. It was just fucking nonsense, but he would actually make it a question on his quiz or his test. Just this really quick shout out in one of his videos here. At hour 1 minute 43, I was mentioning Aztecian Chief Nutsack Wax making the world's teacup. Verbatim, what did he say when he finished? And if you didn't get every word right, you just got the whole question wrong. There was no debating it. It was just fucking stupid. The whole thing was just dumb. And if the quizzes and the tests weren't bad enough, this man was beyond strict with the actual ceramics pieces we had to make. He gave us the world's worst directions on how to make the pots. He just made the whole thing sexual for absolutely no reason. Oh yes, you take your clay right here, and he's just holding it right near his cock. You just start, putting your thumbs in there. You want to get them real deep in there. You want to get those fingers in there too. You gotta make sure it's at least 2 inches thick. If it's not 2 inches thick, you're getting kicked out of my fucking class. I swear to you. Fucking swear to you. I'll call your parents. He was just super creepy about it. Didn't help anyone. Our first assignment was to create 4 pots to his exact unrealistic specifications with no exception. There was no such thing as real pots have curves in that classroom, because if you didn't have your ceramics pieces to the exact dimensions that this professor could jerk off to, you weren't gonna pass the class. You were getting an F. There was only an A or an F. If he could come in the pot and be satisfied with his load in there, you got an A. If he couldn't see himself coming in that pot, he'd either break it or just give you an F and take it. It was just miserable. And we also had to paint the pots with slip, but that shit's just impossible. I don't even want to get into it. Fucking Pablo Picasso couldn't paint a pot using slip. It's just stupid. That was just dumb. So needless to say, G and I didn't do very well in the first 4 pots. We had spent at least 20 hours working on them, and he said it didn't even look like we tried, which was just incredibly insulting because he saw us spending a lot of time in that stupid ceramics laboratory just working on this stupid shit. Yes, I understand my pots came out looking like chicken eggs that had been stepped on, and G's looked like clumps of asbestos. But still, you shouldn't be grading on your students' artistic prowess considering this was a 100 level course for non-art majors. That's just not fair. You should be grading on using the techniques, improvements, shit like that. So that was just ridiculous. But the next one is the one I will never forget. The project was to make a big ceramic vase, and G spent an extraordinarily long amount of time on this one. And he even said to me, Charlie, I'm going to kiss some ass real quick. So he even made a special piece just for the professor to let him know that he was putting in the extra time and the effort. So when the critique day rolled around, G presented him with his present first before the class started. And I was with him, and the professor looked it over for a moment. Then he looked up with the most menacing, hollow, soulless eyes I'd ever seen, just staring a hole through G. And then he piercingly asks him, "What is this?" in the most condescending tone I'd ever heard. And then G says, "I made it for you. It was a present. I just wanted you to know that I'm putting in that extra work that you thought I needed to do." And the professor slaps it out of his hand onto the floor, walks away, doesn't say anything else. And then G has to embarrassingly pick it up and throw it in the trash. It was absolutely surreal. It was just downright evil. And I think he held a grudge because when it was G's turn to be critiqued on his vase, he was testing the structural integrity of it and accidentally broke the vase. And by break, I mean fucking exploded that shit. He was pressing on the sides with so much force. It was like he's trying to do a fucking Hulk clap. It was like that scene in Ricky-O where that man smashes the prisoner's head like a watermelon. That's what he did to G's vase. Just fucking destroys it and then fails him because it wasn't strong enough. I don't know what the fuck the professor was expecting. No ceramics are designed to withstand crushing force from a fucking floppy Subway sandwich of a man. That's just ridiculous. Obviously G dropped the course after that incident, but it was just so hard to sit through and just witness. It was just absolutely mind-boggling how a professor could actually do that. I stuck with it till one more critique. The project was to create a creative bowl, and I'd just given up. I went for Bowser's shell design, but I didn't really give a shit. I just made a really wobbly bowl that didn't even sit flat, and then I threw spikes on the side of it. He hated it, obviously, but he kind of gave me a little compliment in front of the class. He held the bowl up and said, "Class, this is an example of a good idea, but absolutely horrible execution," and then set it back down and went on to critique the next person's work. Whatever, I really didn't try. And I was actually just going to stick with the class and just take the failing grade, because withdrawing from a class, dropping a class mid-semester looks a lot worse than just getting an F. But he actually pulled me aside when I went to class the week after the critique and said, "Please don't come to my class again." He actually said to me, he actually took the time away from the class to pull me into his office and ask me not to come to his class anymore. He was that disgusted with my ceramics abilities that he didn't want me tainting his class with my artistic ineptitude. It took every ounce of my willpower not to rip my shirt off and motorboat his face with my nipples. I wanted so badly to slap this man across the face and ask him who his daddy was. Didn't do either of those things, and I just withdrew from the class. It was just, I don't even know how to describe that experience. That was such a message that this guy hated my ceramics so much and thought that it was such a big waste of his valuable time that I shouldn't even just go to his class. Like, let's say I genuinely enjoyed ceramics and I just wasn't good at it. He's gonna tell me that I'm so bad I don't have the right to even try or go to his class? Fuck you, man. What a colossal sack of shit he is. But yeah, that's my ceramics experience, so yeah, that's it. So yeah.